I think the last partner, we were dating, was like short relationships, but anyways, it was, I think, the best sex in my life, because the guy was always asking if I want something. He was like, do you want me to grab your neck, or you want me to pull your hair, like, and he was communicating so openly. And then I opened a little bit more too, and it was always different and for hours, and it was always crazy.
So it was like the communication side, that like he wasn't afraid to just say, do you like this, do you do this, like move here. And
like before, it was communication during the process, but also follow up after. That was so important, because he was always asking, did you like when I did this or that? And I was saying yes, or I was like, yeah, you can do it more. So then the experience was better every time we had it.
I just want to, just double barrel that question with what advice would you give to like men to do better? But maybe that's another question. So we can.
So should we?
So send the question round. Like, what's one experience that will like shine out for you?
Just 1 second. So, as somebody who's doing this professionally, would you actually recommend to verbally ask for consent continuously in the beginning, or you could actually like communicate that through some body language? Or
that's a good question, and it's a complex kind of field, because there is the idea of like literally at every touch, I'm like, can I put my hand on your knee? Yes. Cool. Can I put my hand on your shoulder? And we do that.
Sexy.
And can I pump again? And again?
That's how it sounded like.
Right. Well, no, I don't think so. No, like, because that's extraordinarily like contrived, and that's never gonna. That's gonna take all the fun out of it, right? But what I got from this was like, because it doesn't. I'm sure that guy wasn't asking permission for every pump, right? Right. Okay. So, but when she say, okay, he, asked if I can put my hand around your throat, which is a big move for some women, people. Right. Okay. This is a vulnerable thing, right? So when I'm going to initiate a choke on a girl, often I do it with non-verbal consent. So with a test, right? So I don't just reach for the throat. We're making out, and I run my hand here, and I put no pressure at all. And if she does that, then I back off. Right? Usually it's this, right? Okay, and then I just massage the throat. Right? There's no choking at all. Yeah. Right? And then when I might move into the choke, then I might check in with consent, and then I'll look her in the eyes, and it's sexy, because that kind of consent is fucking sexy. Want me to choke you? Yes. Okay, this is like intelligent consent, let's say, right? So yeah, if I'm stepping into like areas of. But like, yeah, often I'll do like non-verbal tests to check where her compliance is with me. And then, but there are certain things that I would always ask consent for, which are spitting in the mouth, slapping a girl in the face, using a vibrator using a toy internally on her, right, a foreign object into her body. Right, so these things I always check in with, because these are like either love it or fucking hate it kind of things. And like, you slap a girl in the face who doesn't want to be slapped in the face, it's a really bad thing. Whereas like, giving a girl a tap on the butt, no, I don't. We're making out, I give her a little tap on the butt, like, which is the test. That's not going to make someone cry. That's not going to give them a trauma. That at worst they'll think it's silly. Right, so so you can see how there's like certain aspects where I need to be really conscious that, okay, now I'm stepping into an area where a lot of women love if you do it correctly, and slapping the face is a really, really precise art form, actually, because you can easily break the nose, break the cheek, bust the lips. You have to do it perfectly for it to work. But lots of women fucking hate it, and they're never going to want you to do it ever. Right, so that's how I mean, in the course I cover this in like broad detail, and we look at exactly how to. The exact ways to have non-verbal consent, to have verbal consent, and to make it so it is sexy, right? As opposed to that clinical, like, okay, can I do this now? And yes, and yes, and yes. Okay, that's not realistic or fun. And one thing that I never ask consent for is to kiss her for the first time. Never.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Cliche Hollywood movie. Can I kiss you?
Yeah, and I used to do that all the time. And I try and make cool ways to say it, because the moment you say it, the girl's like, oh God. Yeah, okay.
Such a turn off.
I did it recently, but it worked because she had an e-cig, and like she was smoking it, and I was like, "What flavor?" And she was like, "It's this flavor," and I was like, I don't smoke. I'm gonna have to kiss you and find out." And then she was like,
Okay, that's
Okay,
yeah,
that's cool.
that's cool. Yeah, if you have there's a moment where you come up with something like that, cool. But
like, probably
like
the first time
commercial.
I've done it for years.
And sorry, I guess you guys were nodding and stuff, but yeah, there would seem to be some agreement there, right? Like, tell us about like what was your reaction to what I just said about consent in general, maybe, and specifically with the kissing.
Yeah, the kissing part, totally don't ask if it's the first time. But the way you did it's like in a movie or like in commercial, so it was very natural.
Yeah, it could be fine, yeah.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, it's the worst thing ever to look straight in the eyes and just ask, "Can I kiss you?"
And why? Like, I mean, I can imagine.
It's turn off, lame, and it's like, no. It's in my opinion, it's not that manly or
Right.
maybe.
Because he's like,
dominant
there's a
thing.
risk that he's not willing to take the risk of trying to kiss
He's
you and
like,
then being rejected.
He's like hesitating.
Yeah, also with the consent part that you said, I totally agree with you. Like asking in every 2 seconds that can I do that, it's not good. But for some things you have to ask for consent in not like so official way. So for example, do you like that? Do you like how that feels or something like that? That goes a long way.
Right. And like, you want some more? Can
Yeah.
you take it deeper? Yeah. Have you had enough? Like, that's, I'll check. Like, when I go, I can see she's like, she's ruined. I'll note that. I'll say, had enough, or you want some more? Right. So like, in these ways, you can put ongoing consent into play, and it's dirty talk. It's fucking sexy and cool, and I'm able to check in and to modulate things as when needed. Or if I see that sometimes, a girl gets up into her head and suddenly she's totally out of the thing, then, which happens sometimes, then I say, are you still with me? Should we have a break? And then she's like, yes, no, or whatever. And then if she says, no, let's keep going, then I'll say, all right, look me in the eyes and stay with me. Right, so she's zoning out, and I'm like, okay, come back to me, or stop. Either's fine. Right, so these are kind of things that you can, as you get proficient with it, you can sew into the sexual act, and it can just add more sexiness to it.
It could be a bit of trust, I think.
Sorry?
It could be a bit of trust, I guess.
Building trust, yeah. Yeah, because if a woman knows that the man will actually stop if she wants to, or will change things up, then she doesn't. Then this makes the sex better for everyone, because it means she doesn't need to monitor him so much. Like, she doesn't have to be like aware of like, oh, is he pushing in too deep, or is he being a bit rough? And she has to be in her head thinking like, oh, I need to be ready to like really stop him, as opposed to like, this guy's got me. I can just blah, 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 this feels good.
And I assume that trust could be built if the guy proves that he's present enough to read her cues and go with that.
Yeah, it's kind of like it happens in real time, and like in the number of times I've had, a girl come home with me, she doesn't really know me, she's as is most women when they come home with most men, there's a bit of nervousness, like, are we going to have good sex, or am I going to die? Yeah. And, simple things like, just, like, take your shoes off, make yourself at home, check things out, can I get you some water? Like immediate, that kind of stuff. I mean, you could fake that as a sociopath, of course, but like, okay, so she's like, okay, so like he's concerned with my comfort currently. And usually what I'll, like, for example, if I sit on the couch and then she comes and sits down like a meter away from me, I won't move into her space. I'll say, come here. And if she doesn't, then this date's ending soon.
That's so interesting, because it's the same with dogs.
Oh.
So interesting.
Right, if you go into their space,
you have to ask them to come.
Right.
So you don't go like, give them, you have to actually be seductive enough for them to come to you.
Right.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so, and then what
Wow.
we're all animals, let's say. We're all animals. And so, if it's like, come over here, then she gets to come into my space and settle into my space, to lean into me, or just keep whatever distance works for her or whatever else. But like in that moment, a number of times I had it where the girl just melts into me, and then the trust is kind of instant, right? Because just from that one action shows that like, I don't need to get in there and get some action. It's like, I'm going to get some action. Join me. or I'm not. Or she's like, oh no, I'd rather stay here. And I'm like, all right, in that case, let's have a conversation. So what did you study at university? And I'll bore the shit out of her until she either kisses me or leaves.